want to go to live at, and with one click, it automatically does it for every platform.
I'll have to look into that one. Hey, it's Sal with Gun Barrel Coffee live today. What's today? Saturday the 7th, 8th, the 8th.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 8th. Replacing Brian today because Brian is off doing some family stuff. You want to introduce?
I am Alan,
He-
local resident.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. He comes in here, gets coffee. We sit here and BS for a while and stuff like that. So I said, "Hey, you want to come on the show today?" And he's like, "Sure." He was actually worried he didn't have enough hair gel or something.
Sure.
Yeah.
Or enough hair.
Or enough hair. Yeah. So I covered up with a cap. And then wait a second, what am I doing here? Okay, that's on. So we're live as usual. You can always find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok. We're on that. I think everything looks live. Everything looks good. So we're, by trade, he's a truck driver. So he's seen a lot, got a lot to talk about. But we'll talk about, today mentioned that Pritzker wants to push for a national gun ban. Of course he does. He's Pritzker, Jabba the Hutt there, Jabba the whatever it is.
Yep.
Pushing gun bans, even though it will get defeated in Illinois. Sooner or later, it will. We'll get our Second Amendment rights back here in Illinois. And since it's happened since we've been under gun ban since January, we've had Freedom Still. Hey, how you doing? It's good to talk to you. Yep, Pizza the Hut. Yes. We got to see you soon, Todd, because we got some money for you. And then what else? Pritzker, pushing for a national gun ban, which most of the governors, like California Newsom, right? He's pushing for it, and some of the other governors that are Democrats or Demorats, how you gonna call them?
Personally, I'd like to see the courts do a restraining order against politicians that are continuously, one after another, putting these unconstitutional laws. They keep getting struck down in the courts once they finally make it up. They need to do something to restrain the legislature from continuously violating constitutional rights.
Well, yes, I mean that's what the courts are for, right? I mean, once the courts, like what happened with the one judge, and now it's still in deliberation for the what's the 3-judge panel one? Appellates,
Okay.
the appellates, right? The appellate is still there, right? Because I know Todd was saying if from Freedom Steel, check out his YouTube channel, Freedom Steel. He talks about, he's much more of a better expert than I am, but yep, waiting on decision. So if the decision from the appellate court gets struck down for the Second Amendment, then it shall go to the faster it gets struck down, the faster it can go to the Supreme Court. Okay. Put it in simple terms.
Does it still need to go to the Fifth Circuit, or
it's in the circuit now?
Okay,
right, because that's the appellates. I think is it the 7th or 5th?
I need to brush up on.
Yeah, I know. I usually listen to what he says, but I can't remember it all. It's been a minute. Up 7th, the 7th.
Okay.
So that's what's going on here. Illinois we're still fighting it. Things, hey, if it gets knocked down, that's great. Then it gets pushed up to the Supreme Court, and then it would become the law of the land.
And the Supreme Court has been
pretty
good decisions so far.
Yeah, with Second Amendment stuff. New York's still fighting. New Jersey. Is it Maryland too? Or Maryland or Connecticut? I can never remember. California, they've been winning some cases. Winning some, losing some, like anything else. It's just the Democratic state governors, the governors that are running, Democratic governors that are running the states that are trying to ban all this stuff, right? They're pushing it. And especially if legislation, the Illinois Senate, Congress, whatever, gets pretty much Democrats in there, and then they all cheer and say, "Yay, we did this for the people." No, you're not doing it for the people. You're taking people's rights away that were constitutionally given to us by the republic, because we are a constitutional republic, not a democracy. We're not a democratic government.
Hey, but if they repeat that word democracy enough, people will believe it.
Yes, yes. You say it enough.
And that's the issue is they're putting out the misinformation about so many different areas of life in this country that you can't even keep up with it. And then when they have the social media levers of power on their side, they're able to shut down people that try to respond.
Yeah, it's like calling a mass shooting is 3 or more people. That's considered a mass shooting. In Chicago, that's just called a common day, it seems like.
Or just a common weekend.
Or a common 2 hour into a weekend, practically.
Yeah.
It seems like. But, they made, yes, the Highland Park thing was a very sad thing. Guy used, a 9mm semi-automatic weapon, because they're not assault weapons. We don't have assault weapons here that we can carry. But besides that, that whole weekend there was around 50 deaths, right?
Yeah, I didn't get the update.
Yeah, I know I watched it on Wednesday or something like that, but it was a high body count. And lots of injuries, right? Because bullets fly over the place and people get injured, right? They never really show how many people got injured. Okay. My mom's saying she's watching. So, all right. Next thing, the U.S. is sending cluster bombs, or they call it cluster munitions, but cluster bombs to Ukraine, which has been outlawed, not really outlawed, but kind of looked upon not being used, right? If you don't know what a cluster bomb is, it's a big container with small little bombs, like grenade types in there. So when it fires, it opens up, it spreads, and it can take out like a football field practically, depending on what are they using. So that's getting sent to Ukraine. That will actually really help the fight against Ukraine or against the Russians, because the Russians have that same kind of ammo too. Yeah, they can use. They probably have used it.
But every ammo type that we are putting on the battlefield ourselves allows Russia to then use that same ammo type back.
Correct.
And it's just another escalation.
Well, the thing with stuff in Ukraine against the Russians is newer weapons are being developed, and you can use them as a testing site.
Yep.
It happened all through Iraq, Afghanistan, any war. Really, new stuff comes up. They test it on the battlefield, even if it's not the U.S. testing it, but it can be tested and see what they need to improve on. All right. Well, that was fun to talk about.
Yeah.
Oh, another one is, I guess, get your malaria pills ready. For those who live in Texas and in Florida, the malaria is coming out in that direction. I don't know how many cases. I thought I heard 5 or more, but it's the first time in 20 years because we kind of pretty much eradicated malaria in the U.S. I know when I was in Iraq, we had some cases. They gave us the pill. I will say I took it one time and didn't take it again because it kind of upset my stomach. So I just took my chances on getting malaria. But the pill is some people it didn't affect, some people did. So kind of did on me. But I told my troops to take it because it is not a democracy; it's a dictatorship in the military. And I told them to take it. And if they did, they did. I wasn't going to sit there and watch every single one, but I gave them an order to take their pill, as I was given an order to take the pill. But since
Now,
I don't remember how many of us really took it. I think we took it for a couple days. It was mostly in the northern part of Iraq that had malaria going around, but because I don't remember many mosquitoes, I remember a lot of sand fleas, whatever those damn things were. I hated those things. Oh fuck. But got anything to say? Or?
well, I was wondering, did they have a lead about why all of a sudden this is happening?
Well, we were talking about this, and if you remember about a year ago, what's his name?
Bill Gates.
Bill Gates, yes, was doing a modified mosquitoes, right? So could that be it? Who knows? I mean, they did let him loose, and because the government gave him an okay to do it.
Yeah, and there's several videos floating around right now of him actually talking about investing into these firms that were genetically modifying these mosquitoes and for their purposes. So you can find those videos out there and just hear straight from Bill Gates what he was saying.
If you're going to modify them, I would modify them to, for their little needles to break off before they even hit your skin. Make it softer. Fuck, I mean, what? Those things are just a nuisance, but I mean, they've been around for millions of years. And if you remember as kids, you used to have the truck they used to go behind and spray, and
the
kids,
foggers.
and kids, we would sit there behind our bikes and follow it. We were
probably not the best.
Probably not the best idea, but we did as kids, right? And now, the truck comes by, it's real late at night, because they used to do it like at dusk, right? At dusk.
Yep, right at dusk.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's when the mosquitoes are most active, so that'd be the time to do it. Now they don't do it until like 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night in most places. MD, hello? Call me. That must be somebody for you. You know anybody there?
No.
Mad Dog? I don't know.
Well, I thought they started switching away from the foggers and they were taking preemptive action by actually putting the treatment directly into the ponds around town, that they take out the eggs before they hatch.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I mean, even if you did the ponds, they still have, the little buckets and little places right after it rains, right? It accumulates and have that kind of stuff. I mean, like most of your pools won't, because it's circulating and it's chlorine and but buckets. I had like 3 buckets and they were filled and I dumped them out.
Okay.
Anything where water pulls up, I don't think it takes very long for mosquitoes to.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the germination period.
But they can survive a long time in the ground. I don't know. I'm not a bug expert, but and plus they were spraying for those moths.
Which moths?
I don't know, the ones that are eating some trees or something. They were spraying. They talked about it a couple weeks ago. They're actually taking planes and spraying it.
Well, I heard about the plane. I didn't catch the whole news story.
Yeah, I caught some of it, but not the whole bunch.
Okay.
But and then let's see. You had the supermarket employee. Ex-military police officer in Colorado getting fired from his job for video recording 3 guys stealing laundry detergent. I mean, how bad is it when they're stealing a whole, 20 bottles, 30 bottles of laundry detergent? I mean, you have that much dirty clothes. Is the black market for laundry detergent that good?
It must be. But I mean, where was this at?
In Colorado.
Did they implement similar laws to California where you can't be prosecuted for what they would classify as petty theft? Or
probably. I mean, they even here in Illinois, right? They can people walking into stores and just taking stuff and walking out.
Yep, and that's why they're locking everything behind the glass counters now.
Because I think Walgreens or CVS in Chicago did the whole store is pretty much a case. So you have to get an employee to open it up to get what you want, right? And maybe that employee has it in his hand and takes it and goes to there. But then if the employee has it in his hand, what stops you from taking it out of the employee's hand and walking out with it?
You're just putting the employee in direct danger then, because now the criminal needs to go after the employee rather than just steal it off the shelf, like they were previously doing with Walmart.
Yeah,
Walmart closed, right? Or did they stay open? I heard that they were intending to close the Walmarts in Chicago.
I think there are still plans, or some of them did close.
Oh, in California, under $995.
So, you know, as long as it's under $995, you can take what you want.
Now, is that per trip or is it per day?
Day.
You know,
that's true, because you could walk out, come back in, and that's considered one trip, and then you take another $995. That's a very good question.
Yeah.
But I mean, the per trip. But that sounds like California. Sounds like what it would be in Illinois too. It's because it used to be under 50 or 300 at one time
for Illinois.
Yeah,
it was something low.
Yeah, something low, and now who knows? They changed so many different laws, and
they decriminalized a lot of things.
Oh yeah,
too.
They did. Yes, with that one House bill. I can't remember it, but it is what it is. What can you do about it? I mean, if you come in here and you try stealing something, we'll stop you the best we can without using deadly force, unless equal. It has to be equal force against force, right? So, I guess if you pull a knife, you can pretty much shoot somebody. Just make sure they're facing forward. Because you can't shoot them in the back. Can you shoot them in the side? Because if they go sideways, like they have the knife, like on guard.
Yeah.
Plus,
you'd be able to prove it. You got plenty of cameras.
Yeah, we got cameras, so be able to prove. Justify. And that was a good show too. Justified. Remember that show? No, you never seen it? Oh man, you got to look it up. It's on Hulu or Netflix or something like that. Watch it. It's a good show.
Okay.
Yeah. So, what do you see going on in the future for the trucking companies?
Oh, okay. Well, I know trucking companies are desperate to try to get the automated trucks going so they can cut out the human element altogether. But every step of the way, you're going to run into problems. Everything from hackers to man, there are so many complicated points of this, because at the same time, they want to get away from diesel. So now it's going to be charging stations. You're going to have these batteries. At cold weather, they're not going to charge or hold a charge. So just to implement this is going to probably cost more right now in the short term.
Right.
Once they get the technology figured out, they'll start phasing out. And what they'll probably try to do is implement the long haul truckers and eliminate that first, because it's just all open highway. So there's already test strips in what state is it? They have test strips of highway that they're allowing autonomous vehicles on right now, and it's up north, so they're trying to get all the varying different weather conditions, and then that way if it crashes out in the middle of nowhere rather than say 290, major city.
Well, yeah, I mean, if the truck breaks down, you hope it knows to pull over to the side, hopefully.
Yep.
If it gets into an accident, it'll probably have an automatic call button. Plus, I mean, who's ever monitoring the system would see like, hey, this truck is, on the screen has been shot. You know what they should do with trucking? You have a screen and you have your thing and you can drive it, right? Because you got all the cameras. You can drive it from home.
There's actually, work from home for truckers,
Yeah.
Hey, that's what we need the campaign for this. Okay.
Home for truckers.
Work from home. Absolutely.
Work from home. And then you put it on automatic and then you can go to the bathroom. You can eat your lunch, dinner. The truck could drive. No, because you can only work your 10 hours because you'd be sitting behind a desk.
Yeah.
Right. That's actually not a bad idea. Then.
Well, another thing, I know there was a couple of video clips of this recently, but they have autonomous taxis.
Yeah.
And these taxis are, instead of pulling over to the side to let emergency equipment through, they're actually creating roadblocks, because once they stop and they don't have a human to override and move the vehicle. And so now they're running into these situations where law enforcement's like, okay, what do we do? Push this car out of the way? And instead they're calling a number on the side, trying to get customer service to have someone override and move the vehicle rather than just a human pulling over. So there's that yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, and I guess the more, if AI stuff starts coming in, right, and it starts to learn, and then it starts creating its own vehicles and robots to take over the world, and then we're fighting robots with, well, if you're in Illinois, you couldn't buy any guns, so what you have, you could fight the robots with, right? But
could you imagine AI taking over a semi and driving that down in the city?
Oh my
We're talking
God,
Skynet with semis, okay?
Skynet would be swearing at everybody. It would have a speaker on there. Get the fuck out of the way. Move. Honking its horn.
Yep.
And then who would protect the load if it gets robbed or hacked into?
Well, and that's
if it gets hacked. I mean, you can just have it turn off its chip or whatever it is to track it. It goes off someplace. I mean, you just created a whole new thing for stealing.
Well, and that's another thing is most companies don't let drivers carry, and I think that's also against the law for truck drivers to carry if they're going out of state. I'd have to look back up on the laws, but I know companies don't, but they expect the driver to put his life on the line to protect the load. But you don't have any way to fight against a group of people who are trying to steal the load off, especially like the copper trucks, the flatbed metal trucks.
Yeah.
What's that driver going to do against a whole bunch of people that surround his vehicle? Because if he hits them, they're getting sued.
Yeah.
And if
and then he gets points on his record too for hitting a vehicle that's trying to steal from them. It'd be interesting. It would be very interesting to see what happens. Or do you employ the robots that are in the vehicle to protect the load? That could be another thing, right? Because they got those robots that can climb and jump on, second story and crap like that almost, So you have those on the side, right? They're compact, and then they hit the emergency button, they come popping out. And
you mean those attack dog robots that California is using right now?
They could put those on there too. They just bark at them, or maybe they get some arms with some knives, or they pull out like twin 50 calibers on them. That'd be kind of cool.
Go big or go home.
Yeah,
go put all the armaments on there.
Yeah, put a saw on them.
For crowd control.
Control. Yeah, that's what you use a saw for. But
only laugh because it's getting trippy really fast. When you look at law enforcement is now employing the robots, how far is that going to go? Because I think in California they allow the robots to shoot. Isn't that what, or is that what they're trying to allow? Because they're justifying it by officer safety, that they could send the robot in there.
Well, those robot dogs, I don't think really have. I mean, what do? They can't bite, unlike real dogs.
Well, I thought they were campaigning to arm them to then use, so then it could go in. But then you get a tyrannical government, and all they have to do is mass produce a bunch of attack dogs with guns on it.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you see those companies that are building autonomous robots, and once they put AI and they learn, right? I mean, you're looking at Skynet or the Terminators.
Boston Dynamics.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Coming about and taking them over. Then all of a sudden they're putting armor plates on them, and then we need to use a 50 cal with an HE round or something on it.
And wasn't it Elon Musk during one of the interviews that he said that they have the technology now where they can upload a target list of facial recognition on drones, and they could just have these drones fly around and take out the targets? That like
They probably do.
You can already do it with everything that they're coming out with.
Yeah, I don't know. It's the future is going to be pretty. So pretty much like as Brian would say, any future movie you saw in in the movies, is pretty much coming to true, right? I mean, you started off Star Trek with the flip phone, right? Because that's what they had, like and then all of a sudden you had a flip phone, right, from Motorola, and you used to flip it out like they did, and like now dial your number. Let me pull the little antenna out.
Yep.
Sure. You had a really cool beeper at the time. For those who don't know what a beeper is, it was just a box that you get a phone number saying, who called the number. You had your codes, 911, 411. I don't know. Those were the days.
Yep.
I
missed the whole beeper thing.
Did you?
Yeah.
No,
it was around, but I didn't have a beeper.
Oh, I had a beeper. And I had one of those beepers that was, because you used to get charged for every call you got in. But
yeah, they used to charge per text message too.
Yeah.
And then they finally did away with
that.
that.
Yeah, did away with that. So beepers were kind of cool at the time. Like I have a beeper. And then I can't remember. I used to call back the number, and could you listen to a message or something? I don't remember. It's been a long time.
Well, see, when I started off, we had the corded phone, and we actually had one of those antique ones with the dial. Was it rotary dial?
The rotary dial.
Yep.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
We had that, or the phone with the extra long cord.
Yep.
So if your mom's sitting there doing something, you can talk, or you can take it to the couch and talk to somebody. Yeah, a lifesaver. And
well, there's that one YouTuber that actually came out with their own version of a lightsaber. It's a high intense laser,
like a plasma.
Out. Yeah,
yeah, it was pretty cool. Yep. I could buy one of those. I'd like to see a sword fight with that. You'd be sitting there going zoom, zoom, making the whole sound. Like all I need is a blaster to come at me, and I can see if I can stop it. So, yeah, hey, and if you do that too, watch Todd on Freedom Steel on his YouTube channel. Another good one is Washington Gun Law. Another good one to watch. So you watch those? No? Yeah, you should check out.
I'm starting now.
Yeah. Check out Todd's page.
Okay.
Freedom Steel on YouTube. A lot of good information. Same thing with Washington Gun Laws.
Okay.
Actually, Washington Gun Law, the guy who does that, and Todd, they talk to each other and stuff like that. And you've seen Todd on our show.
I believe so.
Yeah, you've seen him.
I've seen the show a couple times.
Yeah.
Now, with everything that we just covered today and how society is completely going crazy, what are your recommendations moving forward for families? What are things that they could do to mitigate the risk of what's going on in society?
Well, that's a good question. So I truly believe everyone should have, especially in the state of Illinois, you should have a FOID card. Have a gun in your home. Pistol, one rifle, a shotgun, good to keep, right? Well, you can't buy a long rifle or an AR or an AK, which I would recommend at least an AR. But a 12 gauge shotgun, I still believe you can still buy. Pistol, get your CCW, go to the range, shoot, learn from some experts, get training. Because, most people who do carry guns or do get their CCW don't go to the range that much or not properly trained. You should just train. That'd be a great thing to do is find a good people to train with. There's a bunch of them out there. Look them up, read their stuff. Let's see. Tom DeVore, is there a state of lifesavers? Oh, on his lathe, cool. Todd's working on making some, probably for his grandkids. He wants to play with it too. Like,
oh yeah.
Tom DeVore, if you he's got a channel too on YouTube. A lot of good information there. Problem is, I don't have my glasses, so I'm rooking
Yeah.
back like this trying to read it.
Yeah, he's talking about the Floyd card.
Yeah. Almost closing. Behind closed. God, I should have brought my.
Well, and you bring up a good point about the laws being similar to Canada, but it's also European nations and everything, because this is something they want to do worldwide. Eventually, you know, they're campaigning to have uniform laws through the EU.
They want one government, right?
Yeah.
Like one government. That would be like a United Nations, right? Wanting to ban all weapons, and then you would have only the UN to be your protector. That's the most stupidest thing. You start seeing blue hats coming into the United States. It wouldn't
There's
matter.
an issue.
Yeah, there's going to be an issue because just like the Japanese said, it's impossible to invade the U.S. because behind every blade of grass, there's a person with a gun.
And it seems that some government officials seem keen on threatening U.S. citizens a lot. There was that one, was it Beto O'Rourke, who threatened to use nukes if the American people rose up?
He's an idiot anyway.
It's like they're talking about how silly it was that, you know, anyone that would be able to rise up against the government, not that I'm campaigning or endorsing anything. I'm just saying, you know, what they were trying to say.
Yeah.
And, but you look at Afghanistan, you look at all these other places where people were able to rise up against a superior military force with just small arms.
Yeah. I mean, Afghanistan has stopped European countries that ever, you know, the British were there, got kicked out pretty much. The Russians, right? That was the old Russian military of the, you know, 70s and 80s that were in control of Afghanistan for 10 years. Got their asses handed to them. Same thing with the United States. We won the battles, but we lost the war. Sad to say, but you know, and then we just gave everything up.
And it just seems like what they're trying to do now is just discourage the American people from, you know, breaking up the family, taking away people's ability to defend themselves, taking away people's ability to even make a living. I mean, like what happened during the pandemic, they sat there and shut down these small businesses, but let Walmart, Target, like all the big stores operate. And there was that one case, I think it was out of New York, where there was a small business owner who was trying to go like on live, have a broadcast going, and then trying to connect with her customers. And they went and shut her down saying that, oh no, your business needs to be closed, even though her customers weren't physically in the store. And so that was the most direct attack on small businesses, which is a direct attack on the American people, because the corporations, they don't really have a heart and soul. It's all about profit. It's all about it's the small businesses that have the heart. It's the small businesses that focus on the community where they're located. And so just to see these laws being implemented that are attacking that shows the disdain that they have for the American people.
Well, when I was watching was it Warrior Poet, and he went out asking people about, you know, stuff about your rights, about, you know, should they ban guns? And some people were like, yes, we should ban guns. Well, who should be in control? You know, who should be in control of guns? The government or the people? And some of the people were like, the government. Well, then he would ask, do you trust the government? And those people say, well, no. Then why would you trust them to you know, banning guns? Because then it becomes a tyrannical government.
Yeah.
Right? The Constitution was written for the people to, it wasn't for the government, it was for the people. That's what the Constitution is for, to protect the people from the government, you know, foreign or domestic.
Or at least the ideas of the Constitution are written to protect, and it takes people fighting for those ideas. So you need to elect politicians that are going to respect and fight for those ideas, because ultimately, if enough people just walk away from what the Constitution says, it's just a piece of paper. The Constitution isn't going to rise up and start body slamming politicians, or
Right.
It's the idea that we need to pass on to future generations. It's the idea that we need to stand up for now.
Yeah.
And go from there, because a piece of paper isn't going to do anything if no one's going to abide by it.
Right. Want to say hi to Jay McLaughlin for the performance. So what he does is I know there's a certain name for it. I can't remember. I got a bad memory for a lot of stuff now. But so like when the horse is working, and the cattle and stops, it's a really cool. I've seen lots of the videos he's done.
Okay.
It's stuff in rodeos.
Performance horses.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we supply them with coffee, and it's great. It's been a really good partnership. All right, guys. Hey, I was going to do a short one. This has gone really good. 36 minutes. Hey,
oh wow, it's already.
I know. It's gone. See, I told you it goes like that. I said 15 minutes, but if it goes good, it goes longer. I want to thank Alan. Thank you for.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Thank you for coming on board. Can you read that? God,
Rain Cow Horse.
Raining Cow Horse. It's called Raining Cow Horse. Hey, we love you guys too. Yep. Thank you. Hey, thanks for being on the show. Everybody be safe out there. Keep your head on a swivel. We'll talk to you next weekend. All right? We're out of here. Peace.